Hello everyone and welcome back to CountryCast. As we get closer to closing out this year, 2020, I wanted to take a moment and do a video to pay respect and tribute to those that we have lost within country music this past year. There is no doubt that the year of 2020 has been an extremely rough year on us here in country music. When you think about the legends that we have lost, but not only with their musical talent, but their wisdom and experience and guidance and influence. Each of the artists that we have lost this year will no doubt leave their mark behind in this business and in this genre. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin our tribute. First up on our list is the man himself, Mr. Kenny Rogers. Unfortunately, Kenny Rogers passed this year back in March 20th. He was 81 years old. He had been in hospice care for some time and passed due to natural causes. Many would say Kenny Rogers had a special glow about him when he was beside Dolly Parton on the stage, or even in the studio for that matter. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the hit Islands in the Stream. It's a really beautiful song, just like Kenny Rogers, a beautiful and kind soul. But the signature song that Kenny Rogers is most known for is his hit song, The Gambler. As Kenny Rogers would say, you gotta know when to fold 'em. Kenny Rogers had that raspy voice, a voice that we will definitely remember here in country music. He is a man that has left behind such a legacy, many singles, #1 hits. We could go on and on about how impactful Kenny Rogers was in this industry. But it was not only country music. Kenny also crossed over into many other genres, and he was very well respected. Kenny Rogers will truly be missed in country music. Next up on our list is Harold Reid from the Statler Brothers. Unfortunately, Harold Reid passed away on April 24th at 80 years old after a long battle with kidney failure. Harold Reid's voice no doubt rounded out the band, and his bass talents are definitely heard on their signature song, Flowers on the Wall. It's a sound that resonates, and a voice that is always familiar when you hear the Statler Brothers. You can pick Harold Reid out of the band when you hear them all sing together, but Harold truly sticks out. Harold Reid was not only known for his part in the Statler Brothers in country music, but he was also known for his comedy routine. He was not shy to get on stage and crack some jokes and make some laughs. But truly, deep down, Harold Reid, I believe his passion was country music. And the Statler Brothers is such a magnificent band, such a band that we will remember for several years. And Harold Reid's voice, we can thank for that. Third, we have Jerry Jeff Walker, a country artist that many will argue was the pioneer for the outlaw movement within country music, which we saw come to light pretty much in the 1970s. Mr. Bojangles came out in 1968, one of Jerry Jeff Walker's most signature songs. You might also be familiar with Pissin' in the Wind. Unfortunately, Jerry Jeff Walker passed away on October 23rd at the age of 78 years old after a courageous battle against throat cancer. Many can only talk the talk, but Jerry Jeff Walker, trust me, and just like many of you know, he could talk the talk and walk the walk. He was definitely an outlaw. We saw that in Jerry Jeff Walker, and that's why many argue that he was the pioneer who made the outlaw movement possible. Next up, we have 90s country superstar Doug Supernal. Supernal passed away back on November 13th at the age of just 60 years old after a courageous battle with cancer. When many think of Doug Supernal, they think of his signature song, I Don't Call Him Daddy, or Reno. Supernal had a sound that rounded out just as much as the band Shenandoah, Restless Heart. He was alongside guys like Doug Stone. Supernal had definitely a sound of his own, but yet he was very traditional to that 90s country sound. And that's what made Doug Supernal stand out as much as he did. Supernal will be dearly missed from country music. Next up is another man who is no stranger to the outlaw movement within country music, Billy Joe Shaver. Billy Joe Shaver passed away on October 28th at the age of 81 years old after suffering from a stroke. Billy Joe Shaver was known to work alongside Waylon Jennings, Elvis Presley, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson. Billy Joe Shaver was an excellent songwriter and was pretty much the guy who wrote most of the songs for the outlaw country artist. He wrote 11 songs off a Waylon Jennings album that you might remember, Honky Tonk Heroes. And hell, Willie Nelson was even quoted saying that Billy Joe Shaver was the greatest living songwriter. I think that that can be changed now to possibly the greatest songwriter to ever live. Billy Joe Shaver was a huge, huge part of the outlaw movement and a very huge part in songwriting within country music. And we're going to get to one later who is very similar to that. It'll be John Prine. But Billy Joe Shaver, I believe, paved the way for a lot of the songwriting abilities that we know and love today and that we have seen throughout this genre through its decades. Billy Joe Shaver will be truly missed, and he is definitely one of the legends behind the wonderful outlaw movement that we all miss. And while we're on the topic of songwriting, we're going to go ahead and move into Mac Davis. Mac Davis unfortunately passed away on September 29th at the age of 78 years old after having heart surgery. The reason songwriting is very prevalent to Mac Davis is because he was known for the song In the Ghetto. You may recognize that song title from Elvis Presley, but think again, nope, it was Mac Davis. You also might be familiar with some of his own hits, one in particular, Baby Don't Get Hooked on Me, and Texas in My Rearview Mirror. Mac Davis was legendary, and when you can write a song for Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, and he chooses to record that song and of course makes it the hit that it was, I think that is truly something special to say about Mac Davis. Not only was the songwriting ability there for Davis, but also his singing talent as well. You want to talk about a voice? Well, let's talk about Mac Davis. Again, Mac Davis is very impactful into this genre, just as those that we have already touched on, but he definitely was one that had a special twinkle in his eye when it came to songwriting and being throughout the multiple years he was in this business and adapting to each time. Mac Davis will be truly missed. Switching gears back to the 90s, Hal Ketchum. Unfortunately, Hal Ketchum passed away back on November 23rd at the age of 67 years old after complications from dementia. Hal Ketchum had been battling dementia for some time. He was even still touring after the initial diagnosis with dementia. You may be familiar with Small Town Saturday Night. I know that I am. And also Past the Point of Rescue. You want to talk about 90s music, Hal Ketchum is definitely someone that needs to be spoken about, just like we talked about Doug Supernal. He was alongside guys, or should I say bands, that had so much sound, again, like Restless Heart, but we add in Diamond Rio, we think about Shenandoah again there, Lone Star, these guys in the 90s that had this full band around them. But Hal Ketchum could sit down with a guitar, with his lyrics, and really hit you where it hurt the most because his music was that good, and Hal Ketchum was that good. Hal Ketchum definitely left his mark in the 90s, and he will never be forgotten. Going back some years now, but this artist definitely left behind a legacy. Jan Howard. Jan Howard unfortunately passed away back on March 28th at the age of 91 years old after her son Carter revealed it was due to pneumonia. Jan Howard was part of the Grand Ole Opry and had been a member for the Grand Ole Opry for 49 years. Her career really skyrocketed after 1960 when she released her hit song, One You Slip Around With. Now, after that, her career is pretty much history and just left in the books to be noted because she had more than 20 top 40 solo singles throughout her career. She was also well known for her work with veterans. Jan Howard was a powerful and influential person in this genre, and especially for female artists today. Going back to songwriting ability here, we're going to talk about John Prine. What a legend he was. John Prine. John Prine unfortunately passed on April 7th at the age of 73 years old after developing symptoms from COVID-19. I could go on and on and on about his songs and his lyrical content, but I'm going to name one song in particular, Angel from Montgomery. That song always resonated with me and is just a really, really great song. But John Prine, he was no stranger to a really good song, and he could take words and twist them. He could add in comedy to his music. He was definitely a legend, and he has been very impactful on a lot of the folk and country guys that we have seen nowadays, such as Jason Isbell. He has been known to talk about the influence John Prine had on his career, and when you talk about Jason Isbell, you can really see it because, well, let's face it, he's a great songwriter as well. John Prine had many different sounds in his music, and John played to his own tune. When it comes to being such a wonderful artist in this business, you gotta give credit where credit's due. and it goes to John Prine. Another female artist in this industry that is very influential who unfortunately passed was Oslin. Oslin passed on December 21st at the age of 78 years old after complications with Parkinson's disease. You may be familiar with her hit songs 80s Ladies, Do Ya, I'll Always Come Back. Many have even argued that Oslin was comparable to the late great Patsy Cline. I have to admit, like many have said since her passing, she was a very underrated artist. Oslin has definitely left behind such a legacy that will forever be remembered. Now, going right back to the 90s with one of my favorite country artists from that era, Mr. Joe Diffie. Joe Diffie unfortunately passed away back in March 29th. He was 61 years old after complications from the COVID-19 virus. We can talk about his hits all day, but I'm going to point out Pickup Man, Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox, and John Deere Green. I don't think there's anyone out there that can look at a John Deere tractor and not think of John Deere Green from Joe Diffie. He was a wonderful man. He truly was inspirational in the 90s, and I know that Joe is up there, propped right up beside the jukebox, having a very, very good time singing with the angels. We will forever miss you, Joe Diffie. Now to another man who needs no introduction. His name is Charlie Daniels. We lost Charlie Daniels back on July 6th at the age of 83 years old after suffering from a stroke. Many remember the song Devil Went Down to Georgia, but let's face it, Charlie Daniels was not just a country music artist. When you think of the blues, you think of rock and roll, you think of southern rock, and yes, we do think of country. Charlie Daniels had it all. And The Devil Went Down to Georgia is probably one of the most famous songs within country music, and it's thanks to Charlie Daniels, a man who supported our military, first responders, and really believed in this country. Being a true patriot, a country music singer and entertainer, well, let's face it, Charlie Daniels was damn good at it. And last but not least is an artist who we most recently lost, and he goes by the name Mr. Charley Pride. Charley Pride left behind such a legacy in country music and paved the way and opened so many doors for so many artists that we know and love today. Unfortunately, Charley Pride passed away recently on December 12th at 86 years old after complications from the coronavirus. We last saw Charley Pride back on November 11th of this year. Charley Pride did perform one last time at the CMAs alongside current country artist Jimmy Allen. They performed Charley Pride's signature song, Kiss an Angel Good Morning. It was very well done. Charley Pride still showed off just how much of a voice he had and how humble of a man he was. Charley was such a beautiful, beautiful soul. And I can tell you, one song that always made me know Charley Pride was so country and really, really needed to be in this genre to help this genre out is the cover of Hank Williams' song Kaw-Liga. Listening to him sing that was always something very special. I grew up on Charley Pride. My grandmother actually would never stop playing him. It was her favorite singer. And I know why, because Charley Pride was that damn good. And we are going to forever miss and remember Charley Pride, but don't ever think that he did not have a legacy in this business. Don't ever think for one moment that people will not appreciate what he brought to the table. Charley Pride was an amazing man and an amazing performer, and country music should be damn proud to have had Charley Pride. Guys, I don't know about y'all, but reading this list off, it makes me very sad to see these names on these lists. Just like many of you, you know, country music is everything to me, and just like it is to you guys out there. And it is a wonderful business. It's a wonderful genre. And we've had some rough times in this, but we've also had some great times. And these names on that list that I just read out that unfortunately passed this year, they were all the great times. And they have created what we know today as country music and have helped shape this community. So before 2020 comes to an end, do me a favor, go find a record of one of these folks, or hell, all of them, and spin that record and take a moment to really appreciate what they've done for this genre. Our hearts and prayers still go out to each family and friends for each of these artists. And I hope that 2021 brings each of you peace, and I hope we get to a new year where things can really look like they're going to turn around. It's definitely been a very rough year, not only in country music, but for the entire world. So I leave you with this, folks. Happy New Year, and I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for us here at CountryCast, and just what we might see this upcoming year in country music. I think with the talent that we have right now, I think it's going to be a very, very good and interesting year. So again, Happy New Year's, folks. Be careful if you decide to celebrate. But that will be it for today's video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Turn those notifications on as well so you never miss out on any breaking updates on your favorite country artist and all the news coming right out of Music City. Y'all know what to do. Stay country.